to both of you. So there is quite a bit of sci-fi shows, sci-fi space shows with a concept like this. How do you think that this show stands out from the others?
Well, I think the defining difference is that this show is not about laser battles or aliens of the week showing up. This is really a human drama centered around the triumph of the human spirit. You know, story-wise, I think what's substantially different is that this is about a group of people who were not meant to lead, who were not meant to be in charge. That all the people who were meant to run this ship, who are meant to govern, who are meant to be in control, they all die in the opening sequence. And so it's everyday people like you and me waking up going, oh, I'm in charge now. And every decision that's made has life and death consequences. So it's a real pressure cooker of normal people, and can they rise to become the best versions of themselves in an incredibly short amount of time?
It's also not set as far in the future as most space shows. So we have technology much closer to today's technology. So we don't have, laser guns and force fields and shields and stuff like that. It's much more relatable, I think, to today in terms of technology.
So Jonathan and Dean, you two have been known to produce some of the most famous sci-fi out there. Dean, whether it comes to like Independence Day, or Jonathan for Stargate. When you hear a specific pitch, what's something that stands out that makes you say, I gotta get behind this as soon as I possibly can?
A good idea.
Yeah.
A good idea and some thought into who the characters are. Because if you just make it, Captain Superman who can do anything and figure out anything, right from the start, I'm kind of bored,
Captain Superman. I actually kind of want to see that now. I'm not gonna lie. So now I imagine that when you get together a writer's room for an original show like this, I have to imagine what's the writer's room, like the vibe, and what's that like, in all honesty, for a show like this?
It's really not much different than any other writer's room. I mean, we're dealing with characters. These are good characters who could be in a situation today on at a college or something. And you would just explore the same thing. You would explore the characters and what are the backstory and what are their wants and needs. How are they going to rise to the occasion? How do they get along with each other? All of that type of thing in any good show you're going to be doing in any writer's room. And so this one's not a whole lot different in that regard. Everybody on our writing staff are science fiction fans, which is important. Because I don't want to have to spend a lot of time in the room explaining sci-fi concepts to them.
Yeah, right.
And they're all fans.
This is a show by nerds for nerds.
That's always the best thing, right? When it's like, hey, we made this for you guys and we're nerds ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of which, there's definitely a good separation between good and great sci-fi. Now, I may be kind of repeating something I may have asked, but what do you think, like, besides the idea, besides the characters, what do you two think? Because obviously, like I mentioned, you're legendaries out there in the sci-fi genre. What separates good from great sci-fi out there?
Well, obviously, it's a matter of opinion, and it's a matter of what you want out of sci-fi. But Jonathan and I grew up in an age where science fiction was a device to talk about issues out of context, so that people who couldn't have that discussion in real life could suddenly have that discussion when talking about Star Trek. The original Star Trek was mostly about the Vietnam War and race relationships, but they never said that. And so people who couldn't discuss the Vietnam War could discuss several episodes of Star Trek. And if you think of movies like Silent Running being about the environment, or Soylent Green, about what we were doing to food, and also our environment. Science fiction was a way to talk about things in a new arena. And so I would say, for us, that's what drew us to science fiction. That's where we feel like we can do something special, and not be overly preachy or didactic. We can tell great human drama stories, but allow us to tap into things that are happening today.
And also, now, this is, it looks like, a pretty interesting cast of characters. Now, given that the world of sci-fi is very, very rich, if you could possibly take these cast of characters out of the ship and maybe put them in a different sci-fi ship and have them maybe run in that playground, that sandbox, do you have a possibility of what ship you would choose in the sci-fi genre?
Wow, what a creative question. I think it'd be a blast to see these characters just about anywhere.
Oh God.
I mean, could you imagine putting them in the Enterprise? That would
or
be.
You know what? I have a pitch. The Nostromo from Alien. Could you imagine that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Although for some of our characters, it would be far too dirty for them. They'd get very like, this is not sanitary.
oh my! I can only imagine. Go like, can we just get out of this piece of crap ship right now?
Yeah.
Some of them would be like, all right, we have to clean this place immediately before I sit down anywhere. Too much goopy, drippy stuff.
Oh my God! Yeah, especially if you're on that ship, seeing like the aliens, but they're like, guys, 2-minute warning. Let's get the freak out of here right now, please. Now, Dean, I know that you've directed quite a few films yourself. But when you were reading any of the scripts, did you almost sign on to maybe direct the pilot or any of the episodes?
I honestly, I wish I could have directed every single episode. Not that I would have done a better job, but it was so much fun to be there. It was just so much fun to be on this set. You know, I mean, I can tell, I don't know you, but I can tell right now you're one of us. And when you walk on a set like this, you become 12 years old in like 2 seconds. You're like, I'm on a spaceship. And I never wanted to get off it. And I fell in love with this crew. I fell in love with this cast. So yeah, I mean, I was jealous of every director. You know, Jonathan directed and wrote the finale, and I was super jealous of him because that's such a great episode. I mean, I can't wait for you to get to the end of the season. So yeah, it's hard because you just want to be there all the time.
Well, Jonathan and Dean, I just want to say thank you so much for spending the time. I cannot wait to watch it. So you two are legends. It's an honor for me to talk to you too. Have a wonderful day, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.